All right, I'm just going to basically be streaming my progress on the latest supporter project I'm working on. It's just a serverless and it's already somewhat complete. I'm just kind of fine tuning it and making the code a little bit nicer and things of that sort. So if you don't know what a serverless is, it's basically something that all your game servers talk to, and they can update like their game modes, their server name, their players, and etc. Sorry, I was just fixing a quick echo. And basically, clients can get this information from the serverless, and that's all it really is, and that's what I'm working on now. I also just noticed that my resolution is 1080. I guess I'll just deal with this for now. I'll fix it next time. So this is the first thing I'm doing. Is the serverless basically needs to time out servers when they don't communicate for a certain time. So that's all I'm doing right now. So let's see. The inactive limit. If seconds are greater than server timeout rate. The timeout rate is, like I said, it's basically when the servers don't update the server list or they don't use like a keep alive signal, then this will mark them as inactive and that'll be sent to clients. The removal limit is when the server is actually removed from the server list entirely. So the difference is when a server goes inactive, it's marked as inactive and that's sent to clients, and when it's removed, it's just no longer tracked, period. Cooper, I will ban you. I will ban you. I'm gonna call you Ginger Tugboat because you don't deserve to be called Cooper. So seconds greater than a remove rate, it just removes it from the details. The difference is I decided to not maintain a constant connection between the serverless and the client because that just kind of hogs resources. So the client basically asks for the updated servers every so often. Now, the thing with that is there's no like constant state, so the server doesn't actually know what the client got last per se. So it uses timestamps, and it will basically just send the client whatever is new since those last timestamps. And the client actually has to request the new information. So that's something you'll pull like every 10 seconds or whatever. And since it only sends updated information, if there's no changes, you're not really incurring any cost. I know I've seen a lot of serverless that send the entire data every single time, and that's not ideal. So that's why I'm doing it this way. I feel like this is a little more performant than that. And it does actually work. It fully works right now. I actually have a to-do list. I need to make it so that the server will remove itself from the server list on shutdown. And I need to finish the client interface. It does have a ping and that does already work. It's not tested in a live environment yet. I need to test that, but it's working locally, so I need to test that live though before I can officially say it works. And I need to send a keep alive. So this is my test code basically for my server. Got to open that up. I have it running in the same executable for testing. So like I have the list server client and the list server, even though it's going to be called a server list. I don't know why they call it list server instead of server list. Like who thought about naming that backwards? I don't know. That's just something that's bugged me for the longest time. So this is actually a server list, not a list server. And I have two different IDEs open because I'm trying to get used to Rider here. Let me make this a little bigger. I know it's kind of small over the stream. All right. So under private, I know it's not installed. Get out of here. Rider's getting on my nerves already. Private void on destroy, I suppose. No, let's do it on destroy. I don't know if this is actually going to work. If this will actually run. beforehand. But let's just do this. And this code is really bad. This is like test code. That's all it is. It's just test code. It's going to change. It's going to be run on its own thread and such, so that it doesn't lock, Unity's main thread and whatnot. You want to do UI. Is it going to be like all pixels? Actually, I don't care, because it's just like a placeholder UI. So what I'm going to do is I don't have an actual packet header to indicate something was destroyed yet, which brings me to my mess of packet types here. This isn't used yet. This is something I was also considering to save bandwidth. Is the server will only send the change property, but I think that's going to be a lot more work than it's worth, and I'm probably just going to send everything instead. Because it's only going to happen like once a minute, and it's not really a big deal. So let's just delete that. Goodbye, gone. All right. Request types, unset, read all, read updated. This is if a client is, the server will do it automatically, or it'll try to, but this will basically read all of the servers instead of just the updated. Will what work? I'm confused. This is keep alive, and this is shut down. I might rename those, but basically these are my request types. These are different types of requests that the client or the server can send to the serverless. So unset doesn't do anything. Read all I told you. This is for updating information or setting the initial server information. This is just to keep alive. It's like a ping, and this is indicating that it's shutting down. I don't actually have the last two implemented yet, because I obviously just made them. Let's go to my server list project here, and let's go to packet types. And like I said, this is gone. So I'll just paste over it. Now you do have to make sure that these are the same. This is a console app and this is Unity. You have to make sure this is the same. But if you actually look at the server details, this is the same across both Unity and I'm still not used to Rider yet, so I'm a little lost here. It's the same across. I'm just gonna go to Visual Studio. I can't do Rider right now, I'm sorry. Not live. It's driving me nuts. I'm just gonna change it back over. It looks cool, but I need something I'm familiar with, because it's slowing me down right now. Okay, so there's a few things here that are shared between projects, but it's literally an exact mirror of the files, like my packet parser. Yes, I'm using bit converter and stuff, which I know is not as efficient as like bit shifting and stuff. I'll change that later. Like I said, I'm just going with the fast approach. This is the server details. This is just what's sent to the client and the server list, etc. So let's go ahead and implement those things I was just talking about. So under ls server, let's see. This is on destroy. I don't need to make a server detail or anything like that. I just need to send the one packet that basically says shutdown. So let me just try that real quick. I'm just going to copy this. This is what sends it to the server list. And I'm going to get rid of all this. This is called on destroy. Destroying. Actually, I'm just going to do destroying, enter. So basically I just make a TCP client. Again, this is rough code, it's gonna change. And then I try to send that to the server. Here's a new packet writer I make. I made rather. I'm gonna write a byte, and I'm gonna do a request type of dot shutdown because I am shutting down the server, and that's all I need. And that's all I got to do. Is I don't need a response or anything like that. I'm just gonna write the data and then close the stream. So that should be fine. Now I need to test it and see if it's working. Right now, the console app doesn't parse this type yet. So I'm gonna go to my server. And again, a lot of this is gonna change. It's not organized at all right now. So yeah. So let's see. Here we go. This is where I basically get the packet from whether it be client or server, and it basically determines what type of packet it is, and then it parses it. So if request type equals request types dot, you know, I just realized I'm forgetting something. I do actually have to send something else. I'll get it in a second. Shutdown, parse, shutdown, reader, client. I don't have anything for that yet. One thing I actually do have to send, I totally forgot, is I have to send the key phrase. So it knows, it's basically a password, so that you can't write stuff to the serverless from the client. So let's go ahead and put that in there. So I just copied the string where I write that, and I'm gonna put it after I write the byte for shutdown. All right, so let's go back to my console. And I'm gonna go to my parse set method, and I'm going to copy this. And I'm gonna go here, and I'm just gonna actually copy this whole thing. I'm gonna call it parse shutdown, and this is just going to validate the key to make sure that it's authorized, and I'm going to condense this later. It doesn't really matter. Read remaining isn't needed. This is just for if you're like setting a server. So I do realize now that I also have to send the server key as to which server to shut down. Cooper. Don't listen to Cooper. He's trying to be a meme, and just don't listen to him. Like, don't take anything he says as good advice or any advice. Just bad advice. Assume everything he says is bad advice. Okay. Got a drink of water. I'm still on the wrong project. All right. So I also need to write a string, and I'm going to write the server details key for this. I don't know what the server, do I have a server details? Oh. Okay. So this is a little bit of a gotcha, because right now the server can, right now in this test environment, my list server thing can send and update like up to 20 servers. I was doing it to make sure that the client was updating those servers and removing unused ones, etc. But the end code is only, realistically, it's only, the server script here is only going to be updating one server, and that's the server it's on. So I need to pick which one to shut down, I guess. Let me just do this real quick. If there's no server details made, then it makes a new server detail. Otherwise, basically what this is saying, if there's any servers that are already, server details that are already simulated being made, it will 50% chance it'll update that server detail, or 50% chance it'll add a new one. This is the update part right here. So I'm just going to comment this part out, and I'm only going to update the existing server detail. That way I only have one entry, which reminds me, I'm going to go back down to here. I'm going to do if, no, get rid of you. I'm going to do if current server details count equals 0, then return, basically saying there's nothing that has been sent to the server yet. All right, so now I'm gonna do writer.write into string. Again, this is awful code, so don't judge. And I know you hear me say that a lot in my streams, but a lot of times I will draft stuff. I want it to be in a sense that I can read it, so it's not like all over the place, but I do it in like the quickest way possible. I don't do every single possible error check and whatnot along the way. I do that when I finalize stuff. So I'm going to write the current server details, which is 0 index. There should only be 1. And I'm going to write the return server details key. So the return server details key is really basic. It's basically just a, oops, hit the wrong button. It's just a key that combines the IP and the port, and that is the key for the server. It's just so that the server knows what it's updating. That's all that is, so no big deal. So I'm gonna write the passphrase. I'm gonna write that it's shutting down the server. Write the passphrase to indicate that this is indeed a server, and then I'm gonna write the server details that it's shutting down. Now let's go back to this. So string server details key equals reader.read remaining. So what it does right now is it basically reads, when our data comes in, it reads the packet type first, and it parses past that, and then it's going to read the key, which is like the authentication key indicating that it is a server, and then it's going to pull the server details key, which is like a lookup basically. I can see how this might be confusion, so I might change the wording on that later. I said confusion, I know, but so let's move along here. If server details key equals string.empty, return, because there's nothing that can be looked up if there's no key. So now I need to go into my active server details and try and find that key. I'm going to make this a quick method here. Private int return server details index string server details key. Okay, so this is basically just going to look through my active server details and try and find the key for it. I don't need this. If it does, then I'm gonna return I, basically saying if it found it in my active servers, then it's gonna return I. This is fall through, meaning not found. Returns the index for the server details, which uses the specified key. Yeah, you can use the assets for as long as you want. There is a license file in there. It's basically don't distribute the source code. That's pretty much all it says. I mean, it's slightly more technical, but it just says don't distribute the source code. Now, if you want to put it in a compiled game, that's fine. And commercial, personal, it says that you can use it for either, etc. You don't require any special permissions or anything like that. But yeah, once you have it, you have it. And you don't have to stay on the asset tier either. You can go down to the upgrade tier after you buy the assets, which is like really cheap. Okay, so int index equals return server details index using new key. If okay, so I need to do if index doesn't equal -1, so basically if it's found, then I can go ahead and update the server details. If server exists, then update details. It might. I don't see any reason to remove it. I mean, I'm not really, this isn't really a tutorial. This is just me being, this is me appeasing to Cooper. I gave in to peer pressure. That's exactly what this is. Because he was nagging me about making a stream. Server does not exist yet, so add it. Let me just get a drink of water here. Okay, so if it's not found yet, then I'm going to add it to the active server details. Why do I have this? Oh, why do I have this? Okay, I have such a short memory span. Basically, the active server detail cache is what is this? This is when it was last updated, basically, and it holds the server details and it holds the key for it. I don't know why I'm not using a list for this. There's probably a reason. Oh, it is. That's why right there. So instead of returning a list, I'm basically just returning the array, which I could still